I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. When you think about losing it all, say somebody took every physical thing you had away from you, except for the people in your life, you might be frustrated, you might be challenged because yes, you need a place to sleep, you need food, you need things to survive. But guess what? Your friends and your people will be there to provide that for you. Hey, it's Renee. Welcome to the Into the Wild Show, the podcast for women who want to build incredible mental strength to level up their business and lifestyle. I'm Renee Warren, the founder of We Wild Women, author, speaker, award-winning entrepreneur, and your host. Together, we will make you unapologetic about shining your light, growing your business, and turning you into a wildly confident and successful leader. This is for you, the visionary, the go-getter, the entrepreneur, and for those that need a real kick in the butt to get going and to dream bigger. Each week, I bring in leading experts and entrepreneurs to help you take leaps in the right direction, because I know the best advice comes from someone who has successfully done it before. So, are you ready to level up? Welcome to Into the Wild. Hey, you wild women, Renee Warren coming at you with a quickie because we always have time to chat about the things that are on my mind. And lately, I've had a lot of things. Let me tell you why. I'm talking about imperfect action today. And I'm halfway through a self-created program called 25 Hard-ish. If you ever heard of 75 Hard, this is like a very mini micro version of it. And I know the people that are huge on 75 Hard will probably make fun of this, but guess what? I don't care because that's the whole point of this episode. So why I'm doing this is because between traveling to Scottsdale, Arizona, and then a trip coming up to LA and Vegas for the F1, I wanted to challenge myself to a little health and nutrition program. Essentially what it is like 1 45-minute workout a day, 3 liters of water, 10 pages of a book, 100 sit-ups, follow a diet, no sugar, and no alcohol. And even if I just did 2 of those things that were outside of my usual, it would be a game changer for me. So a lot of the times, the reason why we don't tend to do the things that are really scary is because we just sign up for something way too complicated. So this is where 75 Hard is difficult, is because you know everything that is expected of you for those 75 days, which is very difficult. And it actually stops people from completing the program because they're already telling themselves the story of how complicated and hard it is. So anyways, I did 25 Hard-ish and I'm halfway through it. And the point of this is that I have so much mental clarity because I'm not eating sugar, I'm not drinking my wine, I'm following a diet, I'm drinking more water, and I'm just very diligent about kind of my mental capacity as well as my physical capacity for showing up for work and for my family. All that to say is that imperfect action is probably the most important thing you can do for your business. And I'm going to tell you why with a couple examples. So what exactly is imperfect action? So in my definition and understanding it because I live it every day is when the conditions or the resources are not perfect or ideal, right? It involves starting a task or a project or setting a goal without waiting for everything to be just right. So I think about like when you order these like food or meal delivery boxes where you get everything pre-cut and there's a thing called mise en place where you get everything organized and laid out. You chop out all your things and you put all your little things in a bowl and they're perfectly lined up and then you cook the meal. Well, if you like cooking, this process makes a ton of sense. However, I hate cooking. And so even the act of doing those extra steps of getting everything perfectly lined up before you start mixing, I just won't do. I'll just start throwing it in the bowl. It's imperfect, but at the end, we still have the same result because the thing is cooked following the instructions. And so imperfect action is the approach that acknowledges that waiting for perfection can lead to procrastination and missed opportunities. It's about getting things done, moving the needle, learning from your mistakes, and then making adjustments along the way. One thing I learned about myself this year, I was interviewed on a podcast a couple weeks ago when they asked about like where I started from, my origin story as an entrepreneur. And she pointed out that of the businesses I've started historically, first one was the restaurant when I was 17. We took over the lease of this building and my sister and I ran it. My mom helped us out. I had never had any experience in the food industry, let alone even having a job, and I started a business. Now, the second business, I've had businesses since, but the second big one was the PR agency that I had started years ago. I had never pitched the media a day in my life. I said, this can't be that hard. I don't know what was expected of me. And so I just started it. I took imperfect action. And those early days were very tough. We made a lot of messy mistakes, but guess what? We learned from them. The brilliant thing about this is that I started these businesses without any really preconceived notions of what it meant to build businesses, but also without any formal expectations. So that allowed me, with my last agency, to create these methods to approach PR different than other agencies and faster than other agencies because I wasn't already taught those methods. There was nothing I had to unlearn. I just jumped in head first and I did it, and both were super successful. So the other thing that is important about taking imperfect action is the understanding of what this means as a trauma response. So it is also known in this instance as freeze, right? There's the trauma response, fight, flight, freeze, and I forget what the other one is. But freeze is the ultimate response when it comes to not taking action. It's easier to stay comfortable where you are now than to take a chance. The unknown scares you. This is also known as avoidance. So this avoidance can lead to not taking action, as it's often easier to withdraw from potentially distressing situations or challenges. The problem is that these excuses keep you stuck. The book, The 5 Regrets of the Dying, as my previous guest, Brad Pedersen, mentioned on episode 216, extracted from a book by Bronnie Ware, explains that 4 of the 5 regrets of the dying are for things people did not do. And these are out of order, but I want to read them to you. The first one, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Right? So they did not live the life that they wanted. They lived the life that other people expected of them. Number 2, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. We don't express how we feel because we're worried about judgment. We're worried about people not liking us. We would rather live out of alignment with our true selves in order to make other people around us happy than to actually express how we feel. I have a friend, his name is Julian Brass. He is Jewish. He is, I think, still living in Israel, and he is an adamant speaker about his understanding of what's going on in the war. And I hate bringing this up. The example here is perfect. Julian, you have to follow him. I'm going to link him to the show notes below. Whether or not you agree with him, what I love about him is he is sharing content that is very triggering, but with such conviction that you understand his point. So he's expressing his feelings. He is not going to the grave with regrets here. He is supporting his people with love and compassion. I'm not stating that I'm taking sides. I'm not stating my feelings about what's going on. I'm just saying that here's a person, as an example, stating his feelings for something he's very strongly a believer in, understanding that he's going to have followers that do not agree with him. He is going to be proud of his accomplishments, and he is right now. Hey ladies, I gotta share this with you. I got a text message the other day from one of my clients, Callan, and it reads this. Renee, I gotta share this with you. I got on 3 great podcasts last month, and this month has been my biggest month ever. $100,000 revenue as of today. 8 out of 10 of my clients came from podcast audience. I'm so grateful for you and your incredible VIP day. It has been a game changer for my business, and I thank you so much. Wow. I mean, that's just proof that podcasting works. And that's just one example. Another one of my clients, Allison, she says, Renee, the solution you provide is super valuable, even beyond pitching the media. I've used it to reach out to warm leads, which has increased engagement and is helping me grow my business. So there's something to be said about the people that are investing in the Authority Booster Intensive Day, so my VIP day, which is me creating your world-class PR strategy, which comes with so much custom content, a custom pitch list, which is I'm writing and my team is writing your pitches, the pitches that you would reach out to the podcast, to bloggers, to media, to TV, to radio, as well as a custom media list. So this is sourced from our database, our master list of media, and we pluck the right contacts based on your business goals so that we can help you create a PR strategy that your team can integrate and just plug in to the marketing tactics that you're already doing. So if you're interested in signing up for the VIP day, I do a couple a month. You can go to wewildwomen.com/VIP day. That's wewildwomen.com/VIP day. The third one is, I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. When you think about losing it all, say somebody took every physical thing you had away from you, except for the people in your life, you might be frustrated, you might be challenged because yes, you need a place to sleep, you need food, you need things to survive. But guess what? Your friends and your people will be there to provide that for you. And staying in touch with friends isn't difficult. It's not like you have to book a plane ticket to go hang out with your best friend from high school or college for 5 days down in South Florida. It could be as simple as a text message, a voice note, a joke. The thought that your friend knows you're thinking about them is the biggest gift, and you don't actually have to do anything other than let them know that you're thinking about them. The fourth one is, I wish I had let myself be happier, right? And I think it's kind of the summary of the top three. And then the final one is, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. So all of these enforces the power of regret. So those things enforce I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. I wish I had done this, or I wish I hadn't done that. So there's regret, and you don't want to live with regret. The other thing about taking imperfect action is you have to learn through doing. Action, in my books, is the queen of all success. Mistakes are inevitable. It's a part of the journey, and it's better for you to take the action than to avoid them at all costs. So we recognize there's significance in our growth. Action is important. You don't start walking by start walking. You fall over, you crawl, then you maybe take a step, then you start running. You can't grow to become the next best version of yourself if you aren't taking action. And I come back to this example a lot because it still makes me laugh, but it's top of mind. It was the download that I received for the example to this point, is starting this very podcast. I'm like, I want to start a podcast. I don't know how to do it. And I got really sidetracked and intimidated by the tech that was involved. And I'm like, what do I sign up for? I need a publishing this. Like, do I do podcast, video? Am I interviewing? So like all these questions. And I kept asking all these questions, which felt very overwhelming. And then at the end, I just never ended up doing it. But I kept talking about how much I wanted to do this. So finally, one day, my husband turned to me and he's like, pick a day, you're launching this thing, put it on the calendar, or else I don't want to hear you talking about it anymore. Can you imagine all those people in your life that hear about your dreams all the time, yet you never take action? To them, it's just a sad story on repeat. You want to lose weight, you keep talking about it, you don't do anything about it, it's a sad story on repeat. You know what you are, is you become the victim. You become the result of your circumstances. You don't take the action. And so with my husband, I was like, fine, April 27th, put it on the calendar. And now 2.5 years later, I'm over 200 episodes in, and it's a grind. Do not get me wrong. It is a flippin' grind. It's expensive. It is time consuming, but I can't stop doing it. Not only is it an addiction, there is huge opportunities for myself and my business that come from this podcast. And I wouldn't have known that had I not taken the chance. So the other thing about taking action when you're not ready might be obvious to many, is that it helps you build resilience. Crap ain't going to go well. And there will be days that are so messy. You ache for the moments you spent sitting on your couch, eating chips, and dreaming of the very position that you are in now. Don't go back to that person. Don't even think about her. And this reminds me of a time that I've said this many times on this podcast before, is back in my previous agency, how I dismissed a employee because they were just extremely toxic to the organization. I don't know if you've ever worked with somebody like that or have employed somebody like that. But as an introverted, very loving, caring, nurturing person, I was trying to help her through all of these mountains that she was trying to conquer that just didn't make sense for her. And we were very forgiving and adapted for her. We did, at the end of the day, the only tasks that she had to do in business were the ones that she loved. She kept complaining about the things she didn't like doing. Guess what? Life is about doing crap you don't like to do, and it'll be imperfect. But talking about building resilience, when I finally let her go, I don't even know if it was firing. That I hate to even think that I fired somebody, but I think we parted ways. We broke up, amicably broke up. She still came around and sued me for wrongful dismissal. And the first thing that hit me was how insulted I was, because she didn't know how much I went through to make sure that she was comfortable in her job, had everything she wanted. Because when she was performing on the tasks that she was good at, she was really good at it. And so here I was thinking and regretting this decision that, guess what? I didn't take that imperfect action earlier. My gut told me to fire her a long time before that. Now, I don't know if this is true or if it's still true or if it's anything close to the truth. She was employed, she lives in a province in her country, and she signed an employment agreement with my province. But the employment agreement or the employment laws in her province are more strict. And if you're an employee for more than 2 years, there's all these things that the employee is entitled to. But she was trying to drag me to the courts in her province, which is wouldn't make any sense. And so all of this to say that I went through the process, I went through those feelings, the emotions. I've never been faced with some legalities like this before, which was also a headache and such a distraction in business. It totally took me away from my core focus, which was what part of it is what she wanted. She didn't win. She didn't get anything from it. But now I know if I was faced something similar where emotionally I was impacted by something like this again, I know now how to face those issues. I know how I react. I know my family and my people around me know how to support me. Knowing that is enough motivation to be able to take the chance, because if you build that network, like they say, grow that network, they will catch you when you fall. And this was a situation where I fell hard. So I want to leave you with this, is you don't have to have it figured out. In fact, knowing it all can be a detriment to your success, because it won't force you to be curious or force you to connect with the right people or force you to make bold decisions. Success is always on the other side of fear, and fear can be a good thing. Even if something were perfect and you were scared, it's a good thing. It means you care, right? So you just need to be brave. You need to be bold. You need to be wild, and you need to do the damn thing. So talking about doing the damn thing, I have an incredible episode coming out in a couple weeks with Bevan Farron, who talks about just doing the damn thing. Her story is phenomenal. She talks about how she unexpectedly lost her husband, and now she had to go out and deal with all that. But also the gift in it was how much she realized that she wasn't following her dreams or her passion, and life is short. We don't know when our time is here. And if we're living with the wrong person, the wrong city, we're not focusing on the right thing, if we're not healthy, if we're not getting the good sleep, if we're in a job we hate or we're running a business we don't like, you have one life. So start taking the steps to get out of that situation and start focusing on the things that you love to do. Because here's what I know, is when you're looking at all those people out there that you admire that are successful, this is what they live every single day. They are not afraid of taking steps. They are not afraid of doing something they have no clue how to do. They just get up and they do it. It is the epitome of jumping off a cliff and building your parachute on the way down. So until next time, ladies, peace out. So there you have it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Into the Wild. To make this girl happy and to help reach other women who are dreaming of starting their business, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and everywhere you listen in. Also, if you want to find me in the wild, check me out on Instagram at Renee_Warren. That's RENEE_WARREN. And leaving you with one of my favorite tips of all time: the best advice you could ever receive is from someone who has successfully done it before you. Until next time, ladies, peace out.